Today we're taking you down the Rainbow River and showing you everything you need to know to have a great day on the water. Now we've heard we might see some otters and some alligators on this paddle, so stick around to see what we find.
The Rainbow River is located near Dunellon, Florida, approximately 100 miles north of Tampa and 50 miles south of Gainesville. The scenic river gently winds 5.7 miles southward from its source at Rainbow Springs, which consists of hundreds of small vents that combine to release over 400 million gallons of water each day. With its clear waters and beautiful scenery around every bend, it's no surprise that over 200,000 people visit Rainbow Springs to paddle, tube, swim, boat, and fish each year. And while there are many ways to enjoy Rainbow River, you may find details on where, when, and how to best access the river to be hard to find. But in this video, we'll show you everything we learned on our trip to help you make the most out of yours. We found 3 popular launch spots to access the Rainbow River, including Rainbow Springs State Park, KP Hole, and Blue Run. Now we're going to start today by sharing more about the option we chose, which was KP Hole. We chose to start our Rainbow River adventure at KP Hole, as it allowed for a shorter 3-mile paddle on this day of record-breaking temperatures. But before we could begin our day on the river, we had to grab some breakfast. And while we were a bit surprised to find many of Dunellon's breakfast spots to be closed on Sundays, we were happy to find that the breakfast station was open for business. Located at 11352 North William Street, this family-owned and operated breakfast spot offers an impressive variety of options, including our orders of eggs Florentine and the Junction, a biscuit topped with fried chicken, melted cheese, and gravy. We found the staff to be friendly, the service to be great, and the portions to be far more than we expected. As we would need the energy for our paddle, and the flavor of both dishes was great, we gave it our all to finish the massive meal. After wrapping up our breakfast, we arrived at KP Hole around 9:30 a.m., where we were lucky to grab one of the last few available parking spots. While our parking space was free, we learned that these spots fill up very quickly, especially on the weekends. KP Hole visitors who want a guaranteed parking spot can reserve a spot in the main lot for $20 via this link on the Marion County, Florida website. With parking secured and our boards inflated, we made our way into the park, where we each paid the fee of $7 per person to launch our own vessel. And after a thorough examination of our bags, we made our way to the launch point and were soon off on our Rainbow River adventure. If you're enjoying this video so far and would like to see more Florida content like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn the notifications on. As anticipated, we found the river near the KP Hole launching point to be quite busy on this hot summer day, but it didn't take too long for the crowds of paddlers to clear out and to spot our first gator. So we've just started our paddle adventure and we've already seen 1 alligator and 1 river otter. Pretty exciting.
This guy's still out there chilling with that little gator. Sure makes me nervous.
Thankfully, this little gator had no interest in us, and our encounter was a pleasant one. Other wildlife that we spotted on our Rainbow River paddle included a variety of birds, turtles, and of course, fish. Now that we've shown you a little bit of our experience on the river, we have to thank Hapfan for gifting us the inflatable paddleboards that we took on this adventure. And because we've had such a good experience with these boards so far, we're going to tell you a little more about them right now.
So we've been paddleboarding pretty much ever since we moved to Florida almost 9 years ago now. And until very recently, we had 2 45-pound heavy-duty plastic boards.
Now those boards did treat us really well, but they were super heavy and also pretty slow. So we've been wanting to upgrade for a while now, and recently we were able to do just that with our Hapfan Paddleboards.
Now there are a lot of inflatable paddleboards out there on the market, but what really impressed us about these boards is that they both come with an electric pump that plugs right into our vehicle's 12-volt power outlet. And for people like us who plan on inflating and deflating the boards every single time we use them, that feature is huge.
Especially living here in hot and humid Florida, we would much rather sit in our air-conditioned vehicle while they inflate versus being out in the heat having to pump them up manually.
And each board only takes around 8 minutes to inflate and far less than that to deflate.
And another thing I love about these boards is that they only weigh 20 pounds. So I can easily carry my own board, which means I can finally go out paddling by myself.
And I'm sure not gonna miss loading two 45-pound paddleboards on and off our vehicle's roof rack every time we wanna go paddleboarding.
Now these paddleboards come with an adjustable paddle, a 20-liter dry bag, an ankle leash, and also a backpack. Now if you're in the market for an inflatable paddleboard, then be sure to check the link in the description of this video. But now it's time to get back to our adventure.
Back on the water, we had made it about halfway through the paddle to Rainbow Springs, and the weather was really starting to heat up. Thankfully, the spring-fed river stays around 73 degrees year-round, and we had no trouble cooling off in the crystal clear water.
We had to take a break and just cool down with a drink and get in the water.
We were glad to have brought plenty to eat and drink, but visitors should be aware that many food and drink items are not allowed on the river.
If you want to spend a day on the river, you'll probably want to bring some snacks, and that's why we have this reusable container, because you can't bring anything disposable on the river. So we brought these Cliff Bars that we took out of the wrapper and put in our reusable container, because you also can't bring Ziploc bags.
After a quick snack and a few more minutes of paddling, we found a welcome sign in the middle of the river.
We made it to the state park! Once you pass into the state park, there'll be a lot less traffic on the water because motorized vehicles aren't allowed, and you also have to stay on your vessel. If you do want to swim in the park, you'll have to pay the entrance fee to the park and swim in the designated area there.
We found the no swimming rule to be strictly enforced and spotted the patrol boat on multiple occasions.
Thank goodness she was following the rules, since that patrol boat just came by.
And after a few more minutes of paddling upstream, we reached the launch spot at Rainbow Springs State Park. Here, guests can rent kayaks and canoes by either the day or the hour. For $22, you can also rent a tube and a tram ticket. This allows you to enjoy an hour-and-a-half float down the river from the Rainbow Springs Park launch site to the pickup spot around 2.5 miles downstream. Guests who only wish to swim at the park will owe an entrance fee of just $2. While we found the entire river to be quite clear, the waters near the head springs were by far the clearest, as we could see every detail of the river floor lying many feet below. But with the temperature rising and almost no clouds in sight, we could only enjoy it for a few minutes before heading back downstream.
We're paddling back from Rainbow Springs State Park right now to KP Hole, and I would say the crowds have really cleared out. It's about 3:30 on a Sunday. There's still quite a few people here, but a lot less than there were a few hours ago. Skylar is on gator spotting duty. Don't think he's had any luck for a while.
And while Skylar looks for gators, I'm going to tell you a bit more about renting tubes and paddle crafts from KP Hole. Tubes can be rented daily at KP Hole from April 1st through September 30th. The tube rental package is $30 per person and includes park entry fee, tube rental, and return shuttle from Blue Run of Dunellon Park. The float is around 4 miles and takes approximately 4 hours. Tube rentals are available from 8 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. daily, or until tube rental reaches capacity. It's common for tube rentals to reach capacity on weekends, as they did on the Sunday in late July when we visited. Visitors are not permitted to bring their own tubes into KP Hole, but they can launch their own kayaks, canoes, and paddleboards, or rent them by the hour or day. And if you prefer to not make the 4-mile paddle back upstream from Blue Run, you can purchase a shuttle ride back to KP Hole. Back on the water, we were finding the paddle back to KP Hole to be much quicker, as we were now moving down current. Despite the current helping us along, we were still hot and ready to get out of the sun, and these friendly boaters were more than happy to help us cool down. After one more gator sighting, we arrived at the launch spot, where we weren't surprised to find the swimming area to be quite popular.
Now that paddle was fun, but it was also extremely exhausting, and man, are we glad to be back at the car. Now I originally actually wanted to do the 11-mile paddle from Blue Run, but we eventually opted for the 3-mile round trip paddle from KP Hole, and we're really glad that we did. Now, normally a 3-mile paddle wouldn't even be that much of a challenge. We have paddled much further than that in the past, but on a day like today when the heat index is 105 degrees and it's really sunny outside, 3 miles on the water is plenty. Now, someday we may still do that 11-mile paddle from Blue Run, but it definitely won't be in August.
And speaking of Blue Run, this is a great Rainbow River launching point if you own your own kayak or paddleboard. The ramp here is for non-motorized vessels only, and there is no parking or launching fees at this park. But just like at the other parks, parking here will fill up quickly on the weekends, so be sure to show up early.
We fully intended on going into Rainbow Springs State Park to show you more of the experience accessing it via land. But by the time we got there, it had reached capacity and they weren't letting anybody else into the park. That is something to keep in mind if you are planning a trip, so make sure you get there early before it gets too busy.
Now that we've finished up paddling for the day and shown you how to access and have a great day on the river, we have just one more spot to take you, because after a day of paddling, you're gonna be hungry.
And we've heard great things about this place. It is across the street from the Blue Run, so we'll see you there soon.
Our dinner destination took us to 19773 East Pennsylvania Avenue. Here you'll find Swampy's Bar and Grill, a riverfront tiki bar serving up Cajun cuisine. It didn't take long for us to realize that Swampy's was the right choice, as it offered a fun and relaxed atmosphere with great Rainbow River views. Thirsty from a long, hot day in the sun, we were happy to find a variety of reasonably priced cocktails. We went with the Sundays, a rum drink with pineapple and passion fruit juice. The tropical drink was light and refreshing, and just what we needed after our day on the river. Is the Rainbow River on your list of Florida travel destinations? Make sure to let us know in the comments. After a few minutes of enjoying the views, it was time to order, and we found no shortage of options to choose from. I went with the catfish po' boy and Cajun mac and cheese, while Skylar couldn't pass on one of his very favorite dishes, crawfish etouffee. After some time admiring our food, it was finally time to eat. I started with the mac and cheese, which was creamy with a little kick. As expected, Skylar was a fan of his etouffee, while I was amazed by the size of my po' boy. Not only was the sandwich enormous, but it tasted great too, and we couldn't have been happier with our choice to end the day at Swampy's. Want to see more things to do on Florida's Nature Coast? Then go ahead and click on this video next. If there are any questions that we didn't cover about visiting Rainbow River, be sure to leave those in the comments. Thanks for watching!